Greetings to everyone. Orville and Wilbur Wright are credited with inventing the airplane. They were the first to make a successful human flight with a craft that was powered by an engine and was heavier than air. This was quite a milestone and impacted transportation throughout the world. It took some time to perfect, but in later years, people could travel large distances at much less time. Trips that previously would have taken months by boat and train can now be traveled by plane in a few hours. Wilbur was the older brother by about 4 years. He was born in Millville, Indiana on April 16, 1867. Orville was born in Dayton, Ohio on August 19, 1871. They grew up in Indiana and Ohio, moving back and forth a few times with their family. They had five other siblings. The boys grew up loving to invent things. They got interested in flying when their dad gave them a toy helicopter, then flew with the help of rubber bands to toilet blades. They experimented with making their own helicopters, and Orville liked to build kites. Orville made the famous first flight. The flight took place at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina on December 17, 1903. They chose Kitty Hawk because it had a hill, good bridges, and was sandy, which would help soften the landings in case of a crash. The first flight lasted 12 seconds and they flew for 120 feet. Each brother made additional flights that day that were slightly longer. The Wright brothers were primarily pioneers in the area of flight. They did a lot of work on aerodynamics, propellers, and wing design. Prior to working on flight, they ran a printing press business and then later a successful bicycle shop. For safety concerns, the brothers' father asked them not to fly together. August 19th, Orville Wright's birthday, is also known as National Aviation Day. They studied how birds flew and used their wings to help design the wings for their gliders and planes. Both North Carolina and Ohio take credit for the Wright brothers. Ohio because the Wright brothers lived and did much of their designs while living in Ohio. North Carolina because that is where the first flight took place. The original Wright flyer plane from Kitty Hawk can be seen at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. Orville and Wilbur Wright are typically portrayed as bicycle mechanics who somehow invented the airplane. They are referred to as if they were single persona. The Wright brothers, one mind, one personality. However, Wilbur and Oliver were, of course, in actually two distinct individuals who brought unique talents and perspectives to their collaborations. The invention of the airplane by Wilbur and Orville Wright is one of the great stories in the American history. The Wright brothers' invention not only solved a long studied technical problem but helped create an entirely new world. Their father, Milton Wright, was a bishop in the Church of the United Brethren in Christ. His mother was Susan Catherine. In 1889, the brothers started their own newspaper, the West Side News. Wilbur edited the paper and Oliver was the publisher. The brother also shared a passion for bicycles, a new craze that was sweeping the country. In 1882, Wilbur and Oliver opened a bike shop, fixing bicycles and selling their own design. Wilbur and Oliver tried to figure out how to design wings for flight. They observed that birds angled their wings for balance and controls and tried to emulate this, developing a concept called wing warping. When they added a movable rudder, the Wright brothers found they had the magic formula. On December 17, 1903, they succeeded in flying the first free, controlled flight of a power driven, heavier than airplane. Wilbur flew their plane for 59 seconds over a distance of 852 feet, an extraordinary achievement. Wilbur fell ill on a trip to Boston in April 1912. He was diagnosed with typhoid fever and died on May 30, 1912, at his family home in Dayton, Ohio. Orville died after suffering a second heart attack on January 30, 1948. He is buried at the Wright family plot in Dayton, Ohio. Neither Orville nor Wilbur ever married. Today, the Wright brothers are remembered as innovative engineers, and their history making flights inspired generation of future flyers.